The impeachment issue for just a moment, because with us now on the phone is Anthony Scaramucci, former White House Director of Communications. Anthony, hopefully we have a good connection with you. I know that you tweeted now that the president's time is limited as a result of all of this. We were hearing some skepticism here in the studio earlier that that was the case, but if you think so, then how much time does Trump have?
Well, listen, it's prima facie illegality, so we can try to pretend that it isn't. I know we have half the country's now going to move the goalposts for the president and accept the gaslighting. But the reason why the president released those transcripts this morning is he knew they were coming out one way or the other. And by doing it in the cold nakedness of it, he's trying to make light of it. And that's been a strategy that's worked for the president for a long period of time. So we'll have to see what happens. But my guess is that Republicans that I'm talking to up on the Hill have now turned sour. They basically hate this guy's guts, the Republican senators. They didn't like the power that he had over them or the threatening of these sort of right-wing leaning primaries and stuff. And it just turns out that this guy, Justin Amash, who had to leave the party and is now running as an independent, it turns out that his ideas and his thought process has been vindicated here. So for me, I do believe in the next 1 to 3 months, the Republicans are going to throw in the towel. They really don't have a choice. If they want to win the presidential election, they can't win it with Donald Trump. So they'll throw in the towel now, Anthony? And capitulate. Yep.
I am curious because it's a memo. Yep. It's not a word-for-word transcript, and there are portions of it which are missing. But then there will be the complaint, the actual whistleblower complaint. Is this going to give the people you're talking to on Capitol Hill the cover they need to bring about that which you've shared on this program, which is that eventually Mitch McConnell, as you've said, would ask the president to step aside for another Republican? Because on the other side of this, people are saying, at least with this memo release, much ado about nothing.
Okay, so give me that theory, Adam, that it's much ado about nothing, because obviously I try to listen to that theory. I'm trained as an attorney, and if you have a good legal education, you try to understand the other side of the argument as well as your own. So go ahead. What's the theory that this is much ado about nothing? He's on the phone asking the president of the Ukraine to help him out with his political opponent, and the theory is what exactly?
You're the lawyer, not me, but the theory is that there's no quid pro quo. Now, look, he stopped the $400 million roughly in military assistance to Ukraine a week before that call. In the call, the Ukrainian president says, we look forward to purchasing some military assistance, to which the president responds, but let me ask a favor. I'm not the prosecutor or the defense attorney. That's your realm. But I'm curious if this is enough to give cover to the Republicans you're talking to.
So we'll have to see. You've got people that are national security minded, that are patriots of the United States, that know prima facie that is illegal. And now we'll just have to see. I don't think, as I pointed out on Twitter earlier today, I don't think James Madison anticipated that there would be a group of partisan hacks that would allow somebody that was acting in a lawless manner as the chief executive of the United States to stay in that office. I don't think he anticipated that. So we're in new territory. You've got a felon acting lawlessly as the chief executive of the United States. And what you're saying is, well, there was no quid pro quo, but you're missing the whole point of it, okay? The implied nature of the call and the dropping of the funding coincident to the call, and then the asking for the favor. Okay, the semblance of that, if you were in a criminal law class in any law school in the United States, the semblance of that is that there was mens rea or criminal intent and criminal behavior.
Anthony,
now, you may make the argument if you're Rudy Giuliani, the country lawyer that the president's hired, you may make the argument that he didn't realize the extent of that criminality because of his lack of ethics and his in general lawless behavior for 4 decades. But
Anthony, it's David Nelson here in New York. Let me just weigh in for a second. I want to ask you a question. Look, you've been inside the room. You're on the cutting edge of American politics. I've watched your career throughout my career. And I would ask you the following question. You know, given what you've seen, and given what you've seen over the last couple of years, you've done a 180-degree turn on the president. You certainly was a champion a year or so ago. What do you say to the American people, the 63 million Americans who voted for them? Where do they turn now? Is there anybody on the other side of the aisle that they can turn to if it's not him?
So when you say I did a 180-degree turn on the president, you know, this is a finance show. So let's talk as entrepreneurs and people that are in entrepreneurial finance. You hire somebody for a job. You think they have the qualifications for the job. They've made certain allegations and promises for the job. You now have 3 years of data. The person is not capable of doing the job. So I'm not a politician. I'm an entrepreneur. You look at the data. You say, okay, this person cannot do this job. The person needs to be fired and replaced for the job.
So Anthony,
it's not a 180-degree turn. It's an evaluation of somebody's performance.
I'm not condemning your evaluation, Anthony. I'm asking, what do you say to the American people? Where do they turn? Do they have a choice?
Who's the better person for the job?
It's very simple. It's what I said to you guys last week. You got to get Mitch McConnell to say, okay, enough is enough. You got to stand down. You made America great. You got to go to Mar-a-Lago. You probably can't get back here to New York because he's probably the most hated person in the state of New York. So you send him to Mar-a-Lago. And then you've got to get a group of Republicans that were running in 2024 to run in 2020 in a fair primary process. And one of those people will emerge and compete against whoever the Democratic candidate. And so, and that's what you got to do. And that I'm a Republican. And so my hope is that we can get somebody who would have had standing in 2024 to run now. And then I think there's a viable and fair fight between the Democrats and the Republicans. You can't have a lawless felon running the United States. Okay, we're in a full-blown crisis of our democracy. It's a constitutional crisis, and it's now a fight for the American democracy. So again, you guys can look at it any way you want. That's my interpretation of it based on the facts, and I'm ready for the fight. And so, you know, here we are now, and I believe, based on the conversation that I'm having, as I intimated to Adam over the weekend, there are many Republicans now that are fed up with the nonsense that's going on in the White House.
And we saw that with at least the Senate voting unanimously. It was the Republicans behind the effort to get the release of the whistleblower complaint. Anthony, last word on this. What's the next thing you expect to happen, and how? What's the timeline?
So the White House is going to dig in. Okay, and the Senate is going to capitulate, and I think that's a 1 to 3 month time frame. I think that we're trying to make light of the whistleblower, and there's cases on Fox News that are alleging that it's a partisan whistleblower. This was a whistleblower nominated by the President of the United States. These people take their jobs very, very seriously, and I think when you see the color and the texture of what the whistleblower is going to say, I think it's going to be rank criminality, and anybody that wants to look their children and their grandchildren in the face, that's an elected official on the Republican side, will say, hey, I'm sorry. I did try to protect this guy. I tried to defend him. I wanted to be loyal to him, but he's a criminal, and a result of which I can't do that. And that's very similar to what Howard Baker had to do in the 1970s with Richard Nixon. So that's what I think is going to happen. I said that at the beginning of August. I'm maintaining that now towards the end of September. And this guy will not be the nominee for the Republican Party come next November.
Hey investors, Zach Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.